What's up, Nitro gang? This is a vintage Ofna Twin Titan. Do you know what the twin means? That means it's got two engines, guys. Nitro World Order.
Nitro World Order.
Now this truck is very, very rare. It is one of only 1,000 ever made in this particular style. Ready to run from the factory with a 2-speed. With two big block 0.26 engines. That means if you add up all the power, you get 5.2 horsepower, guys. That is a lot of power for a vintage Ofna truck. Back in the day, the Nitro Gang segment wasn't playing around. Everything was bigger, it was badder, it was louder, and it was almost always purple. The question is, how do you tune two engines on a truck? Well, the best answer is one at a time. So let me show you under the body for now. Some of the updates we have so far. Yes, this is the original body. I know it's a little bit yellow and funny looking, but this is the early 2000s, guys. This is what it was. Come on, get off here, get off. All right. We have two fuel tanks. Normally, obviously, you have two engines, but as you just saw, one of them, we still need to look inside. And I'll show you guys all of the sludge that was in there. That's right, I said sludge, just like the new Traxxas. Sludge. This air filter was given to me by the owner. This truck is not mine. I cannot afford such a serious high-end truck, but I am happy to have the opportunity to work on it, guys. We got two fuel tanks. I have cleaned both of them, including the fuel filters. Putting the power down to the wheels is the sickening 2-speed transmission. Now, if you notice, we also have helical cut gears. This truck, they didn't spare any expense. Now, as I referred to earlier, this is a special edition version. It has the inscription Titan on the chassis. If you find one of these guys, this is one of the early special edition, a production run of 1 out of 1,000 models. As far as I am aware, this is going to be great again. Now, the shocks, I will admit, they are not that sickening. Now, obviously, Ofna was known for making buggies. They made a lot of buggies. In fact, to this day, Ofna still loves the Hyper 7, although now it's called Hobeo. On this side, you can clearly see the layout. We have a single linkage of the carburetors. So there's one throttle servo linking both the carbs. So normally you would have the carb over here, and I have one of them already connected. Take my word for it, the linkage is actually quite good. I checked it out, it's good. Fuel tanks have not deteriorated at all. I did a vacuum test, the fuel tanks are like new. Highly surprised. Suspension in the rear, it's very springy. It's very springy, and it actually does bottom out. These wheels are enormous, but you can tell they have a very, very weird offset. So it looks like obviously this was more or less kind of like a buggy chassis, and they just use these monster truck wheels with enormous offset on the inside. Look at that offset. Look, guys, I could stick my whole finger inside there. That's how big this offset is. Let's take a look on the bottom. The bottom is also hardcore heavy duty. We have serious skid plates all around. Very heavy duty drive shafts. This one does have the upgraded high-tech steering servo, but of course when I mean upgraded, I mean for the year that this was probably built, early 2002 to 2005, my estimates. We have tons of reinforcements all over. Look at these chassis stiffeners in the back, holding all of this. Front, rear, serious heavy duty. The Nitro Gang would be proud of this Ofna today if it was actually still made. A very rare model. I looked up the original MSRP. This was about $899, I think, which honestly, for a truck that came with dual engines, really, I think isn't that bad. There were trucks at this time period known as the Twinzilla, the Truckzilla, hot bodies modifications. They were not factory ready to run like the Ofna Twin Titan actually was. Look at that, sickening. In terms of electronics and restoration, let me show you some of the period stuff that I removed from this truck. This is the original hump receiver battery pack. It is 100% completely dead. Can't be using that. This is an inline fail-safe. This is what people used to use for fail-safe years ago. You had to plug this into your receiver and the throttle channel, set it up. It was actually quite irritating and sometimes unreliable. Original Futaba receiver. Of course, we got rid of it, and we're now running the reliable, sickening FlySky GT3B. Highly recommend you get either this or the GT5. Now let me show you the electronics as they are right now. So I have the car powered on, car is on. Here's our throttle servo moving. You guys can see one carb is opening, and the other linkage here, once I have the other engine connected, it will also be opening it. It's actually quite smooth. The geometry is near perfect 90-degree angles. The brakes, I checked, the brakes are phenomenal. Let's check out some of the steering action here. This is a vintage servo, but you know what? It steers okay. And keep in mind, I'm running 4 AA's in here, not a new hump pack. Personally, this is for testing. I'll see later if I want to convert it, but we have the electronics ready to go. Most important thing is fail-safe feature. Get yourself a proper FlySky radio where you don't have to deal with inline micro fail-safe switches like this that will guarantee to piss you off. Well, I have Nitro in my hand. You know what that means. One tank at a time. That's how we will make this great again. What's that? Is that a Black Hawk helicopter? It might be. You know what the Black Hawk doesn't have? 2 Nitro big block engines. It doesn't have that for sure. Guaranteed, guys. So here we go. We got some Bones Brew in there. Chassis layout seems quite nice, I gotta tell you. Original couplers. Oh, by the way, check out this original exhaust cover so stuff doesn't leak all around, let's say, your house, your car. You could just plug it up like that. You know, I wish I could do that to chicks, you know, but you can't. Time to prime it. I'm using my HPI starting system. This is basically the same thing as the rotor start they use on this particular model, with a LiPo battery here on the bottom. Let's insert it. Let's observe fuel in the fuel line. I'll plug the exhaust. Oh, there it goes. I see it bubbles right over here. Sickening. You can't kill the prime job, guys. Time to fire it up. All or nothing. That sounds promising. It's gonna fire. It's gonna fire. It has a lot of 3-in-1 oil there after the rebuild, of course. By the way, I didn't mention it. We're running OSLC4 glow plugs. Get these, the best medium heat range glow plug you can get. Link for them in the description to this video. OSLC4, best price for the Nitro gang also. That's right, baby. What do you think about that? Kill a vintage Ofna, guys. One engine at a time. Look at that idle. Bones Brew. Sickening idle. Engine is running great and cold. No issues at all. Let's see how the throttle response is. It's very rich. It's very rich. Oh, it's moving a little. It wants to drive. You know what? Should we do a little spin? Should we do a little spinaroo? Let's do a little mini test drive here. One engine. Twin Titan, super loud, oh my god. Alright. Oh man, the wheel is crooked. It was like bouncing up and down. Look at a flat spot over here. Crazy flat spot on the wheel. But guys, this is my stock tune. I'm gonna shut it down now. Motor's really nice and cool. You can't kill it. Ofna Twin Titan, my dudes. Sickening Nitro. Shut it down here. Well, that's it, guys. We did a little test run. I noticed almost right away, this tire has a giant flat spot on the top. You could tell here as I'm turning it. I'll tell you this, my stock motor tune setting is ideal. Basically, low speed needle, flush with the car body, high speed needle. Just don't try to kill it about maybe four turns out on that. Idle, you really have to kind of look at it. This air filter was not my choice. This was given to me by the owner. So before you tell me right now not to run these, yes, don't run these, guys. Anyway, we got one engine relatively well tuned. We got one engine running. It's time to take a look inside the second motor. I have the second motor fully removed from the chassis. I just finished a Nitro game live, and we fired this Ofna Twin Titan up together about 4 times, guys. That's right. I did 4 random fire-ups. So, before I go wash this motor in the sink, I just want to show you inside what it actually looks like. Obviously, it is 100% seized, but there it is. We have a good amount of oil sludge on the inside. The reason I'm showing you the inside of the motor and what it looks like is because if you just remove the cooling head and said, hey, listen, I could fire this up. The top of the head looks fine, right? It looks normal in there. I even see a little bit of oil. In fact, on the inside, you really need to wash this out really well. So right now, I'm just going to go to the sink, soap, water, a toothbrush. I'm going to scrub it. I'm going to oil it. I'm going to make sure the carb does slide. Then I will assemble all of these parts back. And guess what, guys? We will once again have ourselves a sickening dual nitro motor monster truck. The motor is clean. It is time to put it back together. We need to make this Titan twin motor monster truck like it was meant to be. Let me show you inside the motor once I've cleaned it so you guys understand what we're working with. So here's the starting pin. I'm going to gently stick it back into the position. Otherwise, we would have a catastrophe. There it goes. So it's in there. Let me just press it in a little bit. Good to go. Very important that that starting pin is correctly positioned. All right, so the motor spins. There's still a little bit of varnish from that old fuel that's in there, but it's fine. I don't notice any crazy problems with spinning over the crankshaft. On the top, it looks clean as well. Of course, I've used some proper 3-in-1 oil, and it's ready to go back together, guys. One thing I want to point out, there's 2 glow plugs I have here. So the one on the left is actually a long glow plug, so it has a couple more threads on it. The one on the right is a short plug. Very important. Make sure you don't mix up the kind of plug you're supposed to use. So what I'm going to do, just going to put the plug into the head button. We'll test out the plug. It's a good fit. I don't see anything obviously wrong with it. So the longer plug, I actually did check it. It would stick out. Not a good fit. So let's do this. We're going to test it out. There we go. With the glow driver attached, we can see the plug is nice and red. Perfect. Big update, guys. Both of the Ofna Force 26 motors are installed. I'm going to try to fire up the one on the left. We've already fired up the one on the right. That's why you could see that there's still some nitro fuel in the tank. But this tank is clean. It's empty. We gotta put some nitro in it. What do you think about that? Yeah, we gotta do it. But before I do it, let me show you guys the way this carb linkage works. So obviously we're running one throttle servo to both carbs. Check this out. As I press the throttle, both of the carbs open. Now, I had to do a good amount of investigation and setting and tuning of the linkage to make sure that when you give throttle, both of the carburetors open exactly the same amount. This kind of thing, the minimal precision tuning requirements, I'm gonna have to do with this thing running. But for now, let's fire up this engine on the right, try to get a good baseline tune, and then I'll see whether we have the time, whether we have the energy to fire them both up at the same time. 5.2 horsepower, Ofna Twin Titan. Priming time. Okay, yep. I observed fuel flow right here. Okay, the prime should be good. It's only one thing left to do. It wants to start, I can feel it. That's right, guys. It's fired up. Second engine running rich and loud. Got a lot of 3-in-1 oil. Hold on, looks like I have some oil squirting over here from the bottom. What's going on? We might have a loose plug over there. Gotta check that out. Looks like it's leaking. A lot of oil coming from here. Sickening. Right. Let me shut it down. Alright, so results of my investigation. We have an oil leak right under the head. Turns out I was wrong. I had about 3 of the head screws almost fully loose. Well, that's the mistake you make sometimes when you're working on 2 nitros at a time. I probably mixed myself up and obviously tightened this one, and I thought I had tightened this one, but this one was basically loose. So you know what? I've cleaned up the chassis. Let's fire it up again. Good job. No leaks. Look at that. No leaks anymore. Adjust the throttle from here. All right. We lowered the throttle. Now that is what you call a good low idle, guys. Sickening. You can't kill a vintage Nitro. Motor is nice and cool. Fire up the second one, guys. One is already running. Oh, I have the cap on. I'm an idiot. I'm firing up the second one. Looks like I flooded it accidentally. Some of the problems. I forgot to remove this exhaust cap. So I was trying to start it. It appears I flooded it pretty good. So I'm actually out of nitro on this side now. I might go refill it now. I might not, guys. I don't know. What should we do? Maybe we should go get a burger. How about we try this again? We got 2 motors, we got 2 filters, we have 2 of everything. And now I have a much better battery, another Duratrax quick pit starting system, the same as the HPI rotor start system. They're all basically the same. Guys, I think it's about time to fire them both up. Now, the mistake I made one time is not removing this little cap here for the pipe. That pissed me off last time. We got 2 Force 26 Ofna motors, each rated at 2.6 horsepower times 2. That is 5.2 horsepower, baby. So let's see what we got. What has to happen is they have to be started individually. I'm going to start with this right motor first and then move on to the left. We have about an equal amount of fuel in both of the tanks. I have to tune them at this point, but the goal is just to fire them up to begin with, at least. That's right, baby. Look at that startup. No problem. Seems to be a little too rich. Sickening. Let's fire up this one. Let's do it. Oh yeah, baby. We're running 2 motors. 2 motors at one time. Sickening. Look at it. It sounds like a crazy angry beast. Sickening. 2 motors running along. Look at that. Yeah, this motor is actually funny. Some kind of pressure issue. it's got some really good torque at the bottom end. The brakes are incredible. It sounds angry, guys. So there's some issue with the tank pressure. I keep having to open the lid like this to release some of the pressure. I don't know what it is. Just a little bit of a normal drive. Awesome brakes. Brakes are incredible on this thing. Oh, you see that? The air filter fell off. Gotta be very careful now. Let's go get the filter. We're gonna have to zip tie them in. Very dangerous when that happens, guys. But both motors are running nice and cool. I gotta tell you, we put another vintage Nitro on the road. If you smell what the Nitro gang is cooking.
Your girl so fine, but her breath is like, she say she wanna dance, but she don't know how to move.
Nitro World Order.
Nitro World Order.